All right, then let's go. Alicia here, out for my walk with Reenie, my adorable half schnauzer, half terrier, all Muppet. This is Sustainable Events Dog Walk, a short podcast from Positive+Impact Event Consulting, where you can get a quick nugget about sustainability for your events and event business while on a walk with Alicia and her dog Reenie. Sustainability is a big project, but we'll get there together, one little step at a time. When I say sustainability, I know the first thing that comes to most people's mind is ecological sustainability, environmentalism, making sure that the climate crisis is being addressed and minimizing our negative impact on the planet. So today, let's review what are the factors in environmental sustainability. What are some ways that you can have them in your mind to affect them if it's one of your key concerns that you're going to start with? So just a recap, the 4 pillars holding up the house of sustainability are environmental, social and community, personal health and well-being, and economic. They're all intertwined. They're all necessary to keep the human race sustained on a living planet. I often say that if you are just getting started with sustainability, you should pick one area that you're personally interested in to focus on and get started with so that you don't overwhelm yourself and so you can start seeing your impact rather than going scattershot and not feeling like you're having success in any area. So the 4 big areas outlined in the UN SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, that cover climate crisis and climate action. One of them is called climate action. Responsible water use, which correlates with life below water. Responsible sourcing and use of resources, which correlates with life on land. Affordable and clean energy. Clean, of course, indicating from clean sources. So that's water, power, extracted resources, and land. And in all cases, we're looking at our volume of use, quality of use, and disposal. Now, I grew up in California where water use concerns are a very big deal. Spent our childhood having changes across time in the rules of how people are or are not allowed to use the water coming from the local water company and the wells and everything. But even if you're from a place that has abundant access to water, the climate crisis means that it is still a finite resource, and the amount of people that it's having to be shared with who do not have water in their local region will reduce it even further. And then when you're looking at water use, it's more than just questions of whether your venue has the purple water reuse pipes for their landscaping, or whether your hotel venue has the modern, up-to-date washing policies. It's also a big question in manufacturing and production, especially if things are bleached. So paper and paper products, swag, clothes, cotton, you'll often see around social media sort of memes about people learning how a pair of jeans takes tons and tons more water, A, than you would expect, and then B, compared to any number of items that we conventionally think of as water intensive items, because cotton and the bleaching and then the softening processes all take so much water. So if water is a big concern of yours, keeping an eye out for which sort of items are going to be low water production items. Then we have energy use, which is slightly distinct from fuel because that's also resource extraction. Energy use is going to be something that is also very tied in with your venues and your offices and the offices of your vendors, but that's also going to be very tied in with your local environment. So you can find out what percentage of your local energy from the local energy company is coming from sustainable resource energy and which is from gas energy or coal in some cases in the country. And since we don't naturally occurring have energy running through power lines That's something where we always want to be conserving our use to its best case. We're coming so far, so fast with Energy Star appliances and technology and LED lights and all these sorts of things, but it still requires consideration. This is where getting curious about everyone's power usage is in your best interest, talking with your venue and your AV company, production, your own staff about shutdown procedures at night, not leaving things plugged in and turned on that don't need to be plugged in and turned on, finding out the safety lights and the overnight lights, what stays on and what can be or should be turned off. Same thing with hotels that have automatic light procedures for their rooms and their open spaces, because there's no reason to be drawing power when there's no one to receive it. There are also ways, if you are doing outdoor events or things that need outdoor power, to get generators that are cleaner and better and newer to run your power, so that you're not running a super clean event and then bringing in a big smelly diesel engine that's going to stink up everyone's air and burn a bunch of fuel. And the other thing that we have in both cases of water and energy is the ability, when you've whittled away as much as you can and it comes down to it, and humans just require water and energy to do things in groups and to be in buildings and all of that jazz, is to buy offset credits. But just be aware that is a somewhat complicated world with the inevitable fraud that comes with things that people don't understand very well and sort of a disembodied concept. But it is a possibility that's out there that can help, for instance, support your local watershed if the amount of water that's being used for your event is something that you really want to be able to acknowledge and offset further. Next on the list is natural resources, extracting of resources. This is where we're looking at what literally everything is made of. So we're talking about the precious metals that go into electronics. We're talking about petroleum for fuel and plastics. We're talking about whether it's wild or cultivated resources for paper and bamboo and cotton and all those sorts of natural materials that we leave natural, wood for your sets, and metal for your chairs, and all the things that are made with every different type of material. This is also a really interesting area that goes into the importance with recycling, of maintaining the supply chain so that there's a financial reason for companies and organizations to keep recycling and make things from recycled materials, which if they don't have as part of their supply chain is a costly addition. And we can all understand the basic tenets of supply and demand that make it so. Buying something, what I just did recently, buying Avery labels that had adhesive that's eligible to be recycled as part of a normal recycling plan. They cost $1 extra than the other pack, but that's worth it to me now to incentivize them to enlarge that production chain and make sure that there's a market for those goods. So once we've extracted something from the ground or the planet, however it came, we should be doing our very best to make sure that that stays in the loop. I don't know if you've heard of the donut economy, where things never go to waste. I would say just go and find it on Freakonomics. It's a very cool concept. The lady who is talking about it is very passionate. But the idea basically, all your jewelry, there's recycling for those things. All electronics, there's recycling for those things, because these are all precious resources that we're pulling out of the planet in the form of petroleum and metal and everything else. And being conscientious of which of those things you choose in the first place, and not going overboard with things that are unnecessary, keeping it lean. This is better for your budget anyway. And then making sure there's a disposal plan for those things, making sure they're either made of recycled materials or recyclable or both. And that rolls also into land use. So we've got our fuels, if whenever possible, being economical with your truckloads and your drives and your commutes and your flights. All of these things are an inevitable necessity in our industry, but we can do them smarter. And over time, we can find solutions that are better. And then all these things, I talked about it a bit in AI as well, all the extraction and the manufacturing and the farmland and the mining, it all takes land. It all takes square acres of our resources. If you have a new convention center going up in town, give them the positive reinforcement for having the roof garden, letting the people in your environment, in your community know that you're backing them and supporting them when they're making smarter choices environmentally and ecologically. So there we have it, your environmental resources that you're juggling. And remember, you're not trying to be zero waste, carbon neutral on your first event. You're just trying to do better. Water, energy, natural extracted resources, and fuel. If you have questions about this or any sustainable events topic, please let me know in the email or Google form in the description of this episode. And I look forward to bringing you more of my insights, tips, tricks, and recommendations next week. Thanks for joining me on Sustainable Events Dog Walk. I'm Alicia Druby, founder of Positive Impact Event Consulting, and I want to help you integrate sustainability into your event business so you're ready to make every event you work on more sustainable. See you next time.